Hi, my name's Daryl. Welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time. I'd like to share Vedic astrology with people because I like how very specific it is, and at the same time, really kind of links to the concepts of Sanatana Dharma, which is about universal consciousness. It makes sense to me in a deeper way. There's so much more to learn and unpack, and I'm nowhere near an expert as many of my teachers and those that have gone before me are, but man, it is the most fascinating thing. And I want to share with you a few things. It links to me yoga, Vedic astrology, and Ayurveda all together, and how these elements work in our lives. It's just fascinating how you unpack them. And if you were to, whoops, that's strange. Let's see if I can fix that. If you were to read any of the texts, you'd be able to see how the elements come together. You know, Ayurveda is really about our dosha and the elements of fire and earth and how that comes into our own physical being. So I'm a little nervous, honestly. I not so long ago got some feedback. A mean person made a mean comment on YouTube, and as much as I'd love to say that doesn't bother me, it was a process for me to just kind of uncheck that, release it, and let it go. And I'm trying to share mostly from my heart and from a place of where I think information can help people, not so much just to align so that you can win the lottery or even so that you can be assured that you can have a great day. But, you know, these areas that kind of are blocked for us, there's a reason for it. We're meant to develop certain parts of ourselves, and how these planets come to us is specific to you in the moment that you were born and where you were on the earth in relation to the sidereal zodiac and the planetary alignment. It's just about that and how it unpacks and unfolds, linked to the spiritual scriptures. The Parashara or Sastra specifically is what I'm talking about. It's amazing how we feel this impact in our lives. So I'm kind of going out on a limb, and it's a little bit funny when I look at the lineup because what we've got going on recently, first let's talk about the full moon. And I've shared with this before. The moon is our capacity for our feeling nature, and it's this internal expression of how we ripple. I think of a lake and how we drop a rock into the center of the lake, and the lake will ripple, but that rock can go so deep and hits the bottom. You know, so it's these depths of ourselves that we can unpack and how we feel, and it's not necessarily restless, but it is in this moment because when the moon is going to be the fullest, it's the brightest, and it's reflecting the sun, right? And when it's the brightest, it's full, expansive, intense. You can see it in the sky. We can feel it. It changes tides. And it's transiting through Aries. And what's wonderful about Vedic astrology is there are these nakshatras, these star constellations behind these signs. And Ashwini is where there's a story about it. And I won't go into that, but it has to do with the son having a child with his wife's sister. And the wife finds out, and she bolts to earth and turns herself into a stallion, and then the son goes after her. And so we have Ashwini means the twins, and it's two horses. And if you think of these horses as your mind, like our consciousness is the moon, right? And these horses are like galloping. If we aren't focused about where we're galloping, guess what happens? They go opposite directions or down, right? You know, like if there's a tendency to take yourself down, or, you know, and all kinds of crazy thinking, feeling, and it really can be an unconscious thing. So what's very helpful during these times right now is like to make sure that you're really honing in on where your subconscious is taking yourself, and where we can draw back in, because, you know, like two horses without a charioteer, it's just a mess. It's like straight into a wall, perhaps, or off a cliff, you know, around the trees, wrapping up. So the mind can really be a tricky place to visit. And this is where this full moon is going to be. But it's also a good place because Ashwini is also known to be the first healer. So it's also a wonderful place that if you are conscious about what we're doing, you can bring that in, rededicate your focus on that which is going to bring yourself into your highest evolution. You know, we'll get opportunities in our lives and things put in our path that can either distract us or seem like the right thing to do. But if you really address it with this model of, is this going to bring me to my highest good? Is this for my highest good? Is this going to bring me to my next evolutionary step, emotionally, spiritually? Then make the decision based on that. I mean, we may not know, but if we're at least humble enough to put it in those terms, we'll have an answer faster than, than we might otherwise. Also of interest too, I'd love to talk about this. We had a lot of retrograde happening, and planets are stationary now. You can see that Mercury has gone direct. Jupiter is now gone direct, although it's still in its debilitated sense. It's doing better. And so these two areas are Earth signs. And Earth signs really connect us to our values and really what we want to bring out. And what I'll say briefly here is that Mercury is the communicator, right? This ability to discern and understand. And it's also about intelligence. So Mars, really do amazing here, is also about, think about wanting to have the last word when I see Mercury and Mars together, because Mars already is this place where we want to fight the good fight for the right reasons. And if we take up and have this belief system, which is also, this is where our beliefs come into form here. We have this belief system that you're somehow supposed to understand and do exactly as I say, and come on, let's go. Like, let's gather with our horses, gather those that will follow me. You follow me and do what I say, then all will be good. But then we also have to be careful about shoving our ideas down other people's throats. And it's really not how life is meant to be. I don't think. I will sometimes align myself with those who are thinking like me. And that doesn't make me safe. It makes me feel like I'm safe, but it doesn't make me safe, right? It's also helpful to have opposing points of view so that we can understand and be able to combine with one another. There's this real need for the yin and the yang, and we have this left and this right point of view, and to bring that together, to remember that united we stand. All of us, this human race, not just the United States. United we stand, and we can do better and be better. So watching ourselves and how we speak to one another is important here. The sun just moved over into Libra and is debilitated here. So things like our confidence may be wavering, or the reason that we're doing something might be for other people. Libra is about this imbalance and wanting to bring things into balance for the sake of others. Just watch where our energy is, how you're feeling about things, and depending on where the sun resides for you, it will impact that area. So if you're Cancer, it's your 4th house. So this would be your direct environment, like your home life and your internal experience. It depends on what your ascendant is. Also of note is that Venus and Ketu together, whenever there's a planet with a Ketu or Rahu, it's amplified with this experience. So Scorpio has this tendency for calculation and what's the right word I want to think of? It's suspicion. Like we might not feel comfortable necessarily in our relationships, or might go through these old patterns of how things are supposed to play out or how they're supposed to be. And if they work this way, then I'll feel better. It may or may not be the case, but just keep an eye on that for a hot minute, and just know that we don't get our happiness from our relationship only. We seek happiness through them, but where our joy comes from is solely upon us. It is not anyone else's responsibility to bring us into this place of, oh, I'm complete when we're together. He completes me. No, not true. And lastly, what I'm super excited about is Saturn and Jupiter both are now direct, and Jupiter will at some point then move back into Aquarius. But for now, maybe it's going backwards this way, actually. Have to check on that. The Jupiter and Saturn together in this place of Capricorn, it's just where our economy and our commerce and where we feel connected and safe is a little bit more in government. It's where we feel a little bit more like we can move forward and less resistance to what perhaps was coming up for us before. Well, I've talked on quite a bit. I didn't mean to go on so long, but I did want to step out into the realm of, sometimes I feel uncomfortable doing these things, but I just love astrology so much. And really, truly, if you understood the depths of how it impacts you based on where your ascendant is, this whole transit impacts you, all of it, and differently for everyone, right? Because no one was born right on top of each other. It's just really, really beautiful. Anyways, I wanted to thank you very much for listening. If you do find some value in this, I would love it if you tell someone to share this video, like, comment. I'm seeking out that, what is that word called? Celestial support. I'll call it that. Anyway, be well. Have a blessed full moon, and take care of yourselves and be kind to one another. Thanks so much.